Hello class, my name is Elijah and today I'll be talking about the topic, should standardized tests be removed from college? How many of you guys wish that we didn't have to take some sort of standardized test to determine if we got into our dream school? Well, there's been a big debate whether or not standardized tests such as the SAT and ACT should be a part of the college deciding process. So I wanted to talk about this topic because I know all of us have studied very hard and tried our best to pass these tests to get to the point we're at right now. After gathering 6 articles and statistics from professional sources, it will help support the argument that standardized testing is not beneficial for college applications and doesn't define a student. Today, I'll be explaining why standardized testing has been used for college purposes and why it should not be necessary when students apply for college. I will discuss how it is an ineffective process for students' way into college, explain the disadvantages and unfairness it has created among students, and the other options that can replace this testing process to truly define a student's readiness for college. So the first main point being that the SAT and ACT proves to be an ineffective way to determine a student's eligibility into college. By taking the SAT, it allows colleges to compare the academics among students from all over the world, and choose which ones are most suitable for their college. Colleges are also able to identify how prepared you are for college by matching it with your GPA or just your grades. But taking the SAT shows it is not the best way to judge a student's performance because it is shown that not every student is a great test taker, and just the pressure of this test being your deciding factor into the college you want takes a huge toll on an individual's mental state. There are students who are not great in school but could be excellent test takers, and there are students who are good in school but don't do so well when it comes to testing, which just shows a level of inconsistency these standardized tests show. If we were to rely on a test to determine your acceptance into a college, then it fails to measure how well your work ethic is and your determination as a good student. There's been a recurring pattern among the demographics of ethnic groups on college campuses and their test scores. In a report from the United States Census Bureau called More Than 76 Million Students Enrolled in U.S. Schools, it states, of just the current undergraduate college student population, 52.9% are non-Hispanic white, 20.9% are Hispanic, 15.1% are black, and 7.6% are Asian, while graduate students are 61.2% white non-Hispanic, 13.6% Hispanic, 12.3% black, and 11.2% Asian. So with these statistics, it brings up the question to why there are more white students on college campuses compared to any other ethnic group. Now that I explained the issue of having the SAT, I will talk about the causes and issues that it brings. The unequal opportunities the SAT creates relies on the problems of social and economic classes and the integrity among test takers. There's been a noticeable difference in demographics in colleges that show how higher test scores in more privileged families than in low-income families. In a Washington Post article, they gathered information from the National Center for Fair and Open Testing, which is a non-profit organization who analyzed SAT scores from the class of 2019, and it reports the gaps between demographic groups grew from a year earlier, with the average scores of students from historically disenfranchised groups falling further behind students from more privileged families. The problem with how it is now is that richer families are able to provide test prep courses for children that allow them to do better on tests while neglecting the poor, diverse families who can't afford to do so, and they're just left with the knowledge that they have at hand. Cheating is also another factor considered besides from diversity and economic status because it isn't the most optimal way of determining the true skills of a student. In an article called Is it Finally Time to Get Rid of the SAT and ACT College Admission Tests?, it claims that those alleged schemes that included hiring impersonators to take the exam, making phony disability claims to gain extra test taking time, paying to change wrong answers or fill in missing responses, and bribing proctors and test site supervisors to ignore these illegal acts. If a student were to cheat on one of these standardized tests, it does not represent the true academic level that that student is at, and it creates a false image for colleges to look at. It also leads to higher curves that ruin the opportunity for other students who are actually trying and not cheating to obtain a higher score, and just basically ruins their chances of getting to the college that they want to. Now we'll talk about the different kinds of solutions to these problems. With SAT and ACT being an unreliable process, there have been new standards to overcome this process, which has resulted in positive outcomes. In a video news report from CNN in 2014, host Michael Smerconish informs us that out of the 2,800 U.S. four-year colleges, only about 850 of them have made these tests optional when applying, and studies show that there's such a small difference between the performance of students who submit test results and those who do not. A Los Angeles Times article states that critics justify exams to be admission barriers for low-income students, and that years of research prove that scores are heavily influenced by family income, education, and race. Colleges are looking to bring in more students of color, low-income students, and other underrepresented populations that might not be admitted to a school that could succeed in an article called "Colleges Are Dropping ACT/SAT Requirements, a look at schools that don't use test scores" by Alandaria Whitlock, it states, for example, a June analysis of the 200 most selective schools that follow this practice conducted by the Center on Education and the Workforce showed that the schools selected students based on the SAT alone, more than half of the new admittees would not have been accepted. In addition, the student body would not be more affluent and less racially or ethnically diverse. So, what will colleges focus on if standardized testing is no longer a requirement in the enrolling process? Well, they will begin to take grades and extracurricular activities more into consideration, especially advanced classes. For example, a student who is able to balance difficult classes, sports or academic competitions, and community service proves that their actions prove to be more worthy than just a test that measures intellectual abilities. With these components being the main focus, it is the closest way to truly define a student academically and their work ethic outside of the class. So today, I explained why standardized testing has been used for college purposes and why it should not be necessary when students apply for college. I discussed how it is an ineffective process for students way into college, explained the disadvantages and unfairness it has created among students, and other options that replace this testing process to truly define a student's readiness for college. So, if you ever have kids in the future, let's hope we don't have to worry about spending hundreds of dollars for them to have an advantage over others. Thank you.